I, like many of you, have started my day with social media feeds filled with fear, concern and messages of hope as well around this, or a desire for hope being expressed due to the invasion of Ukraine and the threat of war. Now ultimately what we can say has happened, and I will speak in this way to make this clear, because the head of the snake is never looked at. We never look at the head of the snake, and there is a head of the snake. There is a reason that this war is happening. Human beings who have imagined a certain landmass to be called Russia have taken devices they've imagined and created into existence, and they have crossed over into another landmass that humans have imagined to be called the Ukraine. The funny thing is, the humans in both did not imagine these places to be called that. They were born inside these imagined territories, and their ancestors had left records of these things they had imagined. And so one set of humans has taken weapons which will shoot fire and metal and will hurt, traumatize and scare and kill man, woman and child. And they have done so to get the other humans to do what they think they should be doing. Humanity has fought wars endlessly for thousands of years. Conflict is everywhere. Our whole society is built upon conflict. We have immense militaries, we have immense defense budgets and attack budgets. And we are constantly blaming things like the deep state, politics, religion. And yet when you look at this is still not the head of the snake. And so I wanted to make just this short video to say the head of the snake is separation. It has caused this war. In a smaller sense, I can show you this with our society. You will have sports fans who go to a World Cup and they will sit side by side, unified behind their imagined territory they were born in. But when that event is over, they will create separation by returning to their hometowns and their local teams. And that separation can create conflict between those who were unified not so long ago. All imagined. Separation creates the conflict. They were at peace together, unified together over a common good, until they went back and separated. Now, if that is so, and it is so that humans can do that, look at it. If they believe they are united by something, there is peace. Then what is this common peace we can unite over? And what is the birthplace of separation? Because that's the head of the snake. The start of separation is the start of war. Doesn't matter how much information you have in your head, how much intrigue you have with the body of the snake and its patterns. Humans don't like to listen to people like myself when it comes to things like this, because they don't like to admit just how much they are playing a role in this. We don't want to look at the head of the snake. We want to look at the pretty patterns on the snake's body because they attract us, they stimulate us. The symbols, the stories, the politics, all of these things humans invented and are obsessed with. We'd rather look there than look to the head. And there's a reason for that. And I'll say so in a moment. Now, of course, it was said, we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but spiritual wickedness in high places. But what if that spiritual wickedness can only access you via one doorway? And that's a doorway of separation from the truth. Remember, Jesus Christ was the Spirit of truth. The Russian government do not know the Spirit of truth today. They live in a lie. They say they are religious and they are believers in this unconditional message of unconditioned love. But it stays a little game in the mind. They haven't been strong enough to overcome the mind and let it nourish all they are. It stays a game. It stays just on the surface of the human, inside the mental realm. And so where's the birth of separation is the first question. As a human sits and looks out at the world, if you believe that there is someone looking and the world that it looks at is separate, there begins separation. If you believe there is an observer and that which you observe, and the two are not the same, if you live in a way where what you observe is separate from the observer that you believe yourself to be, that is the birthplace of separation. And when we do that, the formation of ego is occurring because we look out at the world and we have memories as we pass through the world. And then we have imagination which takes hold of the memories, constructs an image inside our mind of who we are, and therein forms an ego. The process of that happening, the process of a human losing sight of the fact that that which they observe and the observer are one in the same. The looker and that which is looked upon is one in the same. When we lose track of that, we construct the ego, and our contraction from there means that by the very nature of believing upon that delusion and dream, we separate from the love of God. And so, as an example, for President Putin, who I don't know obviously personally, to be able to declare war means that this person indefinitely believes that they are observing the world and that which they observe is separate from them. And that there opens up the doorway to spiritual wickedness in high places, because therein begins pride. Because you are not accepting the world as it is. You are not here now accepting it in a state of allowance with no character. Loving awareness, we can do that briefly. I am loving awareness. I didn't say John, character, Englishman, all of that nonsense that my memory and imagination played with for a long time and strangled my energy. That's not there. This human, as we call it, talking to you, this vessel, this expression of this allness going on, senses loving awareness as an event going on through the senses and all senses available to it. The heart, the eyes, the brain, the cells of the body. When you are there, you are giving pure attention to the moment. And there, no separation of a identity inside says that it doesn't want it. It needs to control it. It's not happy with it. And so from there you are with God's love. And the head of the snake is when we are children and we leave Eden by storing memories, building an image of who we are around them with imagination, and believing that which we look at in the world has a looker that is separate from it. And that vibration crushes a human being to the point where they can't feel God's unconditioned love because it grieves the spirit. It can't be felt. And from there, spiritual wickedness in high places manifests in the hearts, minds, brains, and actions of mankind. Because the universe is vibratory. And the tension of playing the dream of being separate and there being a separate observer from the world, not realizing the unified oneness of it, not realizing that you are here, the forest has peopled you, the planet has forested a forest, and the solar system to solar system, and God universe to universe, or however you're going to label it, it's all one going on. And when you lose that, you lose God's love. And therefore, if Christianity had been done correctly, it would have pierced the ego of these leaders. And it would have brought them to the unconditioned love of God instead of the guidance and the will of the lesser God. You see, when you look out the world and you acknowledge there's no observer to observe what you're looking at, that they are one and the same, that means there's no center point for pride to grow, for arrogance to grow. There's no soil for it to take root. Because there's no construction of the self separate from accepting Eden as it is for it to take root. And so the head of the snake that is causing this war is separation. Because separation always gives birth to conflict. And if we would just find unity at that very starting point of the journey of separation for humanity, and realize that the start of separation, which is the start of conflict, is found in every human when the human gets to the point where they in error believe the dream that their mind has dreamed, that they are the looker and this that they look upon, and the two are separate entities. And they are not. They are one and the same, but they are now separated by the veil of thought, which separates them from the beautiful resonance of God's love which is found there. And then arises the soils, because they build a planting spot of a character inside them for pride to be born and arrogance, and as with Lucifer, so we fall. And so we decide, bizarrely, to spend so much money to shoot sharp bits of metal and fire at other man, woman and children and pets who all feel fear like our own children do and pain like our own children do, just because we are so obsessed with the idea inside our arrogant, prideful brain that they should do what I think they should do. Instead of disabling war, instead of shaming it with love. The world can't call itself Christian until it acknowledges. They did it with Jesus and Barabbas. Jesus came to put an end to conflict, separation and war with unconditioned love. And they said that won't get us anywhere. Let us continue to fight fire with fire. because they were too arrogant to let go of it. Conflict is born from separation. Separation starts in the human being when it wrongly identifies itself with the mind, and therefore believes that the world it looks out upon has a looker and is not unified. And so we can't build a world on God's love from there. We can only build it on the separation, which is the place of pride, arrogance, lies, deception, power, fear. And so may the children of this war find some peace and comfort. May the children of this war, who deserve better, know that at this time some of us could see why this was happening.